On a cold December night in 1982, 25-year-old Henrietta Millek disappeared from the Key Club, a local downtown bar in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Henrietta to this day. Now 38 years later, the case remains unsolved. Hey guys, welcome to Case 1 of Unjust. My name is Michelle, and today I will be telling you about the disappearance of Henrietta Millek. I just wanted to start by saying that this was a relatively hard case to research because there really isn't a whole lot of information out there. It is a very cold case, and some reports do have the dates and times off a little, but official reports do say that Henrietta went missing on or around December 11th, 1982. Born in 1957, Henrietta is described as indigenous with a dark complexion, black eyes, and black hair. She was 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighing 141 pounds. Henrietta is described by family and friends as cheerful and fun-loving. Henrietta was from an Inuk community in Nain, which is on the Labrador portion of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Newfoundland and Labrador make up the most easterly province of Canada. Labrador is attached to the mainland of Canada, whereas Newfoundland is an island off the coast of Labrador in a North Atlantic Ocean. Newfoundland and Labrador winters are known for being freezing and very snowy. Henrietta had moved from Labrador to St. John's, which is the capital city of the island of Newfoundland, in her early 20s to pursue an education in nursing. I could not find a whole lot of information on Henrietta's family, but her mother was named Verona Itulak and was still living in Nain at the time of her disappearance. Henrietta had 2 young sons at the time of her disappearance, both who were still babies. The oldest boy, named Chesley Itulak, was living in Nain and was under the care of his grandmother, Henrietta's mother. Henrietta's youngest son, Byron, was only 2 months old when she disappeared. Henrietta had fallen on some hard times and has been reported to drink heavily. This led to the removal of her infant son Byron by social services. Byron was placed in foster care in a home in Makinsons, Newfoundland. Now, Makinsons is a rural community located approximately 75 kilometers west of the city of St. John's. By all accounts, Henrietta still maintained contact with Byron, and according to her best friend Mary Pia Benonin, Henrietta was trying her best to straighten out her life so that she could get Byron back, as he was her whole world. At the time of her disappearance, Henrietta was taking courses at the Memorial University of Newfoundland, with dreams of becoming a nurse. Henrietta was living in a boarding house with her best friend Mary Pia and was working as an Inuit translator and cleaning houses to make ends meet. Henrietta was known to frequent the bars of St. John's, one of which was the Key Club, a local bar located on Water Street, downtown St. John's. The Key Club was known around town as being a hard spot, as well as an after-hours club. On December 10th, Henrietta left her boarding house for the last time. Some reports have her leaving in the morning, others are non-time specific, but it is known that Henrietta did leave her boarding house at some time on the day of December 10th, 1982. Henrietta headed downtown, asking her friend Mary Pia to join along, but Mary Pia declined and spent the night at home. This would be the last time Mary Pia was to see her best friend. The two had plans for the next day to hitchhike to Makinsons to see Henrietta's infant son Byron. As we all know, hitchhiking was a common thing back in the 70s and 80s, and Henrietta was known to hitchhike. Mary Pia had went to bed only to wake up the next morning and be told by her landlord that Henrietta had called the boarding house the previous night around 1 a.m., sounding drunk and upset. Their landlord had answered Henrietta's call, but refused to wake Mary Pia up to come to the phone. Right away, Mary Pia felt something was off because Henrietta never called her at the boarding house. Mary Pia waited all day for Henrietta to show up so that they could make their trip to see Byron, but Henrietta would never show. Mary Pia spent the next days looking and looking for her friend. Assumpta Laws was tending bar at the Key Club the night that Henrietta disappeared, and remembers that Henrietta was upset, but she would not say what was bothering her, even though Assumpta had asked her several times. Assumpta remembers having a very bad feeling that night about Henrietta. She remembers feeling like there was somebody after her or something. Assumpta also remembers two unknown men in beige coats who seemed to be bothering Henrietta. Other reports say that there were at least 3 men at a table that were bothering Henrietta, to the point where she was visibly crying and staff had to comfort her. I assume staff was Assumpta, the barmaid. There are also reports that these men were trying to remove Henrietta from the bar. At some point, Assumpta had to tend to something in the back room, and when she came back out to the bar, the 2 men in beige coats were gone, and so was Henrietta. Then, when cleaning up at the end of the night, Assumpta noticed that Henrietta's purse was thrown on the floor. It struck her as odd because Henrietta had been holding it in her hands all night. Assumpta couldn't help but feel that Henrietta had purposely thrown her purse there for her to see so that she would know she was taken. Inside of that purse was Henrietta's address book, bank book, $8.15, and the keys to her boarding house. 2 weeks later, that's right, 2 whole weeks later, Henrietta was reported missing by her landlord to the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, or the RNC. Not a whole lot of information has been released about this investigation from the RNC, but that is really not that uncommon in unresolved cases. As we know, police do sometimes hold certain information close to their vests, maybe some information that only those involved in the crime would know. That does not mean that the RNC didn't investigate the case thoroughly, but may rather be careful about what information they are releasing so as to not jeopardize the case. Police did have suspicions and several people of interest, but they were never able to identify the men who were in the bar the night Henrietta disappeared. The RNC have stated that they believe that there are people in the community who have knowledge and for various reasons are either afraid or unwilling to share it. The RNC detectives have been frustrated throughout the years with this investigation because they have met with people who were clearly afraid and reluctant to share what they knew. At one point, an RNC investigator received an anonymous phone call from someone saying that they had significant information about Henrietta's case and was willing to meet. But when the investigator went to the specified meeting spot, nobody showed up. The RNC has also stated that at the Key Club on the night of Henrietta's disappearance, 2 men took Henrietta by the arm, trying to remove her from the club. The RNC has also noted that it is important to note that nobody seen these men actually remove Henrietta from the club, but there were attempts made by these men to remove Henrietta from the Key Club. In 1995, a witness came forward saying that on the night of December 10th, 1982, a woman had knocked on her door and said she was looking for her boyfriend. The witness believed this woman was Henrietta. The witness said that Henrietta's boyfriend did live on Blackhead Road, in St. John's, which actually did turn out to be the truth. The woman then said that Henrietta was last seen walking out of Blackhead Road toward the direction of Cape Spear. Now, Cape Spear is an historical site in St. John's. It is known as the most easterly point in Canada and North America. It is a dangerous place, and it is known that some people have actually been swept away by the large and unpredictable waves at Cape Spear that come in over the shore. After interviewing Henrietta's boyfriend and friends and residents of the area, and what we can only assume were viable leads, a search warrant was issued in 1995, and the RNC did actually excavate a property on Blackhead Road. But nothing was found. No clues, no remains. Then in 2013, CBC News did an investigation into Henrietta's disappearance. This renewed interest into Henrietta's case prompted the police to take a new look at her case. The RNC decided to test Henrietta's purse for touch DNA. As we know, DNA testing has come a long way since the 80s. And luckily, the RNC did have the foresight in 1982 to hang on to Henrietta's purse for all those years. But again, unfortunately, nothing came back to lead police to the answers or even offer a clue. Then, seemingly out of the blue, in 2016, a new witness emerged. 34 years later, a man contacted the RNC to report that he remembered him and his buddy picking up a hitchhiker who fit Henrietta's description approximately 34 years ago. The young woman had been hitchhiking from St. John's, and they had dropped her off on the Trans-Canada Highway at the intersection to Roach's Line. Roach's Line is a small rural town about 75 kilometers west of the city of St. John's. It is important to note that Roach's Line is within walking distance to Makinsons, the community where Henrietta's infant son Byron had been staying. The clothing description fit, as did the date when the men picked up this hitchhiker, and according to the witness, the woman even told him that she had been on her way to visit a family member in Makinsons. The RNC has stated that this person was interviewed for several hours, the person was very credible, and there's absolutely no reason whatsoever for them to disbelieve this person. Therefore, this new tip led to a search of the densely wooded area of Roach's Line in 2016. But again, nothing was found, which is actually not surprising after 34 years. As I previously have said, Newfoundland and Labrador are known for extreme winter conditions, and it is unlikely anybody could survive a winter night outside unless they were properly prepared for the weather. Even then, it would be a difficult thing to do on a real bitter winter night. Henrietta did go missing in December, which is well into the winter season for Newfoundland and Labrador. This has led police to believe it is possible that Henrietta could have succumbed to the weather as she walked to see her son Byron. As well, Henrietta was noted to have been drunk the night she disappeared, making it possible that under extreme weather conditions, Henrietta could have gotten disoriented and possibly even lost in the woods. The road from Roach's Line to Makinsons is a very desolate, dark, and heavily wooded area, and probably would not have seen a lot of traffic at 1 a.m. I think it's important to point out the elephant in the room, so to speak, when we are talking about Henrietta's case, and that is the issues surrounding the missing and murdered indigenous women affecting Canada and the United States. Most of these cases are often not given the attention they deserve. This epidemic has been described as a Canadian national crisis and a Canadian genocide, according to Wikipedia. Also, according to Wikipedia, Between the years 1980 and 2012, Indigenous women and girls represented 16% of all female homicides in Canada, while constituting only 4% of the female population in Canada. The reason I mention this is because Henrietta's family has claimed to feel frustrated over the years with the RNC's handling of the case. Henrietta's family has said they didn't even know about her disappearance for several weeks and have never been kept updated on the status of the investigation. I am not the one to say whether or not Henrietta's case was properly handled by the RNC, but I do believe it is important to make note of this situation and how Henrietta's family has felt let down by the RNC. It is unfortunately an all too familiar theme in cases involving missing and murdered Indigenous women, and if we keep quiet about it, then we kind of let it slide. These women and their families deserve the same attention as any other group. So back to the case. At the end of the day, we are left with a whole bunch of questions. We are left wondering what happened to Henrietta. Did she walk away from her life? Did the two mysterious strangers in beige coats, or three mysterious strangers in beige coats, take Henrietta and do God knows what with her? Did Henrietta's boyfriend or one of his friends do something to Henrietta? Did she even possibly get swept away off the shores of Cape Spear? Or did she succumb to the winter weather conditions on her way through Roach's Line? Or did something completely different happen to Henrietta? There is another theory that has floated around about Henrietta's disappearance. I think it's more of a public speculation rather than anything that has been officially linked. But around the same time, between 1978 and 1984, 4 young women had went missing from the city of St. John's. This has led people to wonder if a serial killer had stalked the city. One of the young women was found dead, and the others were never to be seen again. All 4 were known to hitchhike. Sharon Drover was last seen leaving a McDonald's restaurant at 2 a.m. on December 28, 1978. Dana Bradley was last seen alive getting into a stranger's car hitchhiking on December 14, 1981. She was then found dead days later, and her killer has never been found. Henrietta was last seen on December 11, 1982. And Pam Osprey was last seen standing on a downtown street on January 12, 1984. Osprey was known as a sex worker, and it is believed that she may have gotten into a car. What do you think happened to Henrietta? Obviously, there are several unanswered questions. Did anybody else at the bar see something that night? Was Henrietta on Blackhead Road that night? If so, where did she go? Did she leave Blackhead Road and somehow end up on the Trans-Canada Highway, hitchhiking to Makinsons? What was the actual last sighting of Henrietta? Was she actually last seen at the Key Club, on Blackhead Road, or hitchhiking on the Trans-Canada Highway? For more than 30 years, it was believed that the 2 unidentified men in beige coats were responsible for Henrietta's disappearance, a fact that has not been proven or disproven to this day. All we really do know is that Henrietta's disappearance has left her family and friends in a state of mourning, constantly wondering what happened to their beloved, cheerful, fun-loving friend, daughter, and mother of 2. It is never too late to report any information to the police. Anything you may know, big or small, could solve this case and give Henrietta's family the closure they deserve. If you do have any information, please contact the St. John's RNC at 709-729-8000. or email them at contact@rnc@rnc.gov.nl.ca and reference case number 82-35091. You can also contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or 8477. Or you can also reach them online at www.canadiancrimestoppers.org/tips. Thank you so much for listening to this case today. If you would like to hear more cases like this, please subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up button, and maybe if you would be so kind as to leave a nice comment down below. If you would like to suggest cases to me, you can email me at unjustcrimes@gmail.com.